Welcome back to another episode on the Boom Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today doing some NBA talk because it's off season. We ain't got much to do, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the NBA. I talk about basketball from time to time, and today I'm actually bringing in my brother Trey. We're gonna talk about some good basketball stuff. All right, so first of all, we're gonna start off with the finals. Real quick. Trey, you just tell us your thoughts on the teams going in, and then obviously the Nuggets end up winning. Were you surprised, or what was you kind of thinking throughout the finals?
Yeah, so going into the finals, I had the Nuggets winning in 5. I felt like this was a mismatch. I felt like the Nuggets were just a way better team than Miami. Like Miami, like they were shooting well and all of that, but we kind of seen it against the Celtics, like when they won those 3 straight games. That it's like, okay, if a team locked in, focused in on them, like team with that kind of talent, they just focused in and they can overwhelm Miami because they just didn't have the talent to match a team like the Nuggets or the Celtics.
Do you think if Miami won in 5 or 6, or I'd probably say 5, if they won in 5 against the Celtics, you think they would put up a different fight?
No, I think it would have been the same fight. Like the one game that they won, they shot pretty well. Like, so if they would have continued that, like, so they would have beat the Celtics in 5. So that means likely they would have continued that hot shooting. Then it's possible they could have pushed this to 6, or I wouldn't say 7, maybe 6. Who knows? Yeah. Right, but the thing is that Denver they had the more talent. Like a lot of the teams Miami played, team had more talent, but they was also real disciplined as well. So they didn't have like a huge advantage there. They didn't have a huge coaching advantage either. So it was just they didn't have enough talent. They defense held up way better than I expected, though.
Yeah, I do think, like you said, it's a mismatch. Going into the playoffs, did you think Denver? Because I remember clearly, at least in the media, I'm not gonna say individuals, but clearly they was like, yeah, Denver number 1, but it don't matter. And honestly, I remember them saying that in this age of basketball, you kind of want to be the low seed. They was talking about the Warriors and their championship run last year. And they were saying the Lakers would be good coming in off the play-in because they'll be a low seed, whatever. Which I don't necessarily agree with, but I know Denver was getting written off by most people at the number 1 seed. So, East and West, what was you kind of thinking coming into the playoffs?
Coming into the playoffs, I knew Denver would be good. I didn't know how good they'd be. I didn't think they'd be that as dominant as they were. I know a lot of people was like riding real high on Phoenix. I didn't really get that. Like I felt the Clippers would have beat them if Kawhi Leonard was healthy. But even then, it really didn't matter whether the Clippers won or Phoenix won. Well, I had Denver beating them. So at the least, I had Denver getting to the Western Conference Finals. And then from there, I thought they would probably run into the Warriors. And then I thought the Warriors they probably would have had maybe an edge or so. But, from there, Western Conference Finals is kind of any team's game they can, win, and then you're in the finals. So, like, I knew that they'd get at least that far. That was at the least. I don't know, a lot of like experts and everything, they was kind of riding high on Phoenix. I didn't really get it, but
I was shocked with the Warriors playing the way, not that they lost, but the way they lost to the Lakers. They did not put up no fight towards the end. I really thought the Warriors was going to repeat. That's what I was thinking going into it, because the Lakers, I just don't trust them. I like the roster. And D'Lo fell off too, so that's a factor. But I like their roster, but I just don't trust AD to be consistent. So I thought the Warriors was going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I had the Warriors. I thought the Warriors would beat the Lakers, and then from there, they go up against Denver. So, they had a chance. Like, I don't know. It's just like the kind of writing was, I guess, was on the wall. We all just kind of ignored it because, they were champions and they had Steph and everything. But like how bad they was playing during the regular season, they wrote was kind of a telltale sign. Like, this ain't the same team that won the championship. But yeah, so it kind of was. It was a little. It was a little shocking, I guess, but at the same time, I think it was more just kind of a matchup thing. Like the Lakers, like they kind of played the perfect like brand of basketball to really give the Warriors a lot of problems. So it's just kind of one of them things. It's like, maybe if they had a different road, maybe if Denver played the Lakers and in the second round, and then the Warriors got Phoenix, down they in the Western Conference Finals, and then things change. But like, they were just playing bad though. Like the entire regular season and real up and down, and it's I don't know, it gets hard to overcome that.
Yeah, especially when everybody's saying the regular season don't matter. But we're gonna get into the meat of the conversation. So I originally was gonna do this episode talking about the CBA a few weeks earlier because it was interesting to me. And then I was talking to Trey about it and he got different opinions. But overall, what I've noticed, you take it back to 2010. You got the Miami Heat, and if you listen, well, I don't talk too much basketball, but if you listen to me talk, I hate LeBron for the decision and the super teams and all that it created. The Celtics don't count. It was the beginning of the end, and thankfully they ain't go crazy. But then we get to KD going to the Warriors. Now, if KD doesn't get hurt, like, I think it's very easy that they won 3 championships straight. And then it's just like, well, what's the point of the league at this point? Like, that was an all-time low to me when KD was with the Warriors. Great to watch as far as they team specifically, but it was no comp. And so I was out. Like, I haven't watched regular season basketball in years. I only tune in to the playoffs. But now you look at this last few years, and we got different champions every single year. The Warriors, we expected them to do something, but they didn't make the conference finals. Denver wins their first championship ever. The Raptors, you could kind of, if you want to throw that away. And then the bubble, I don't really count either, but still. And then you got the Bucks won. And so it's just been a lot of parity. It's the parity that I've been really searching for. So I think the players naturally kind of figured that out, but you still have the star players here and there forcing their way out. Now with this CBA, and anybody that follows basketball knows that the owners was gearing up to strike back. So now with the new CBA, which is going under the radar a little bit, I think into this free agency, then people was like, what are these moves going on? This new CBA that's going to come into effect, I believe, later next year or in the next season is going to be really changing the game up. And not this season, but the season after. So you're talking about the main points is, number one, you can't trade out or more salary than you bring in. So it's got to be even. And there was a little more exceptions and all that before, but now you can't just dump out a big contract and take back nobody. You got to make sure the money's even. And then the other big thing is the second apron. So before you had the one, pretty much a cap where you get into luxury tax. Well, I should say first you got the salary cap, then you got the luxury tax cap. Now we're talking about a second apron where if you go into there, the penalty is going to be crazy. And I don't have the numbers on me. I don't know if you know it off your head, Trey, but the second apron essentially says you cannot have 3 supermax stars. That's not going to happen. It's going to be virtually impossible. So now the way teams move is going to be different. Now, this excited me because we see parity, and I think it's going to add more parity. It effectively kills the super team. Now, what we've seen so far, even since the decision, these players ain't taking less money. And as I get older, I get it. I used to be one of them people like, man, you for the love of the game. No, they might love the game, but they here to get generational wealth. So I get it. But these stars ain't taking less money. And so, yes, Kyrie could have took, I think it was like 12 million or something. He could be with the Lakers right now, but he ain't gonna do that. He's getting his money. And so, yes, it's still possible, but it's unlikely because these stars don't take deep discounts like that. So this new CBA is definitely shaking the game up. And for me personally, I think this puts the small markets back into play. Now, again, you just had Denver win the championship. That I think was natural from the players realizing this 3 thing don't work. Everybody say, "Oh yeah, you can't," from the beginning. Yes and no, no, it's not. Ray Allen points fell off, became a spot up shooter. Chris Bosh became nothing like he was, became a glorified spot up shooter at the end of the day. And everybody that watched the Heat back then, you remember when LeBron was out and it was Bosh and Wade. Bosh was getting busy. Or if Wade was out and it was Bosh and LeBron, Bosh was getting busy. But all 3, not so much. You had the Warriors, Clay fell off. I mean, in terms of the numbers, it's just not enough basketball to go around. So I think naturally players started to migrate to these duos more so than the big 3s. And that helped with parity. But still, this is now a systematic way where the small market teams have a shot. They have a shot. They got a Bruce Brown who is not like a superstar, but a Bruce Brown leaves Denver and goes to Indiana because Indiana has the money to do that, where a lot of other teams don't. You know, if this was a different age, maybe Milwaukee could have got Bruce Brown, but they can't now. And so teams are preparing for the second apron. And unless your owner has crazy deep pockets, you pretty much gonna have to just figure out how to draft better and how to sign people strategically. So to me, I'm excited about it. But what's your thoughts, your initial thoughts on this new CBA?
So, I was like, yeah, definitely. Like, at least it's gonna get rid of the Miami, not like Phoenix now. Like, got like 3 people, and then veteran minimums when they got KD and things like that. It was like you're not gonna have teams like that anymore with like real high quality role players. From that's pretty much eliminated with the new rules. Happens about like at 130, and from there luxury tax is like in that 150 million-ish range, and then from there 70, and then the second apron is I think 182. So once they hit that second apron, like they like so many rules like kick in that they can't do, and so that's going to eliminate teams, the teams that are competing for championships, from signing like all the players. They won't be able to participate in like the buyout markets. They won't be able to trade multiple contracts for like one big player. They lose like all they different signing taxpayer. No, it's like the mid-level exceptions, all those taxpayer exceptions, and things like that. So it's like really punitive to the teams that go into that second apron. So pretty much most teams are gonna have to treat it kind of like a hard cap. And so either they're gonna go this kind of Phoenix Suns route, where you got 3 players like have max contracts, these huge contracts, or maybe you can even squeeze in a 4th one. Like, but even then, I doubt. I don't even know if they'll be able to get 4, but definitely like 3, and then the rest is just like veteran minimums. Either you'll be on that, or they're going to be on a 1-star, maybe 1 supermax contract, second max contract, and then they try to fill it out with some good role players. So it's going to force teams to spread out, and you're going to see kind of like what you've been seeing in this free agency this season, where you're going to see more and more veterans going to kind of like these rebuilder teams, because not only did this CBA add all these new rules for the top team, but it also forces these bottom feeding teams, like these AAU teams like the Houston Rockets, they have to spend 90% of the salary cap. So you got a bunch of teams like San Antonio, Utah, Houston had like 90 million like in salary, and so now they got to spend 90% of the cap, so they're gonna be forced to spend money to fill out that roster, and so you're gonna see more veterans and things like that going to these like bottom teams. So
First of
it
all,
should,
you wow for calling them AAU team. That's hilarious. But so
that's what people call. At least
what?
definitely Houston. That's what they call.
That is exactly what I was just talking about the other day. But what? Because I just assumed because like the NFL is like that. You got to spend X amount of percent of the cap. I think is pretty high. Do you know what it was previously?
I'm not sure what it was previously. I'm pretty sure there was a percentage, but I know it wasn't 90. It was it either wasn't there or it was like maybe 70 or something like that. But it wasn't really high because there was a lot of teams that used to go into the year with like a ton of cap space, and so but they eliminated that now, especially because they're forcing the top teams to lose players. So they didn't want to have the bottom teams, just not signing people, because the Players Association wouldn't have accepted the CBA if they didn't do something like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like I said, I thought if you let's just say 5 years out, I thought we would see some more competitive rosters. We would see some more parity. There's GMs and other people that have been talking and saying that right now a lot of teams that might have been middle of the pack see the opportunity to be the next Denver and let the chips fall where they may and win you a championship. And so I thought in 5 years that's kind of what you would see. You might see like a Dame, and we'll talk about that later, where they might move, but for the most part, I think you're gonna see teams able to actually build over time. But you were saying you see it a little different. How do you see the NBA in 5 years in terms of the roster construction and the parity?
so in about 5 years, so because I think the rules, all the rules with the second apron and all that stuff, I think fully kick in 2 years. So they'd be about 3 years in now at that point. So definitely, like, so free agency become more important, and the draft, second round picks become more important. So it'd be kind of similar to kind of how the NFL, how they like to get rookies, and they like to get them on their rookie deals and everything before they got to pay them, and then once they get to that point, they try to get rid of them. So I think that's going to become more common in the NBA, where it's like, okay, we're going to try to build a team before we got to start paying all these players. And then teams like, let's see, like Milwaukee, especially like Denver, when they got they kind of they four. They got their two main guys, and then they got Aaron Gordon, they got Michael Porter Jr. So in 5 years, players like Michael Porter Jr. He's gonna be out, like, because he'll be at that point where he out of his rookie deal, he's looking for like a big contract. We already got two people, and it's like, okay, we just won't be able to pay that at all, and so he's gonna have to go. Like, we got to trade him, or he's gonna have to just leave in free agency. Somebody like Aaron Gordon, like, he may, like, depends. Like, if he wants to win, he'll probably stay at a smaller amount, but like they won't be able to hold on to him for like 30 some million or 30 plus whatever million anymore. They have to leave,
Yeah.
like, to go somewhere else.
So here's put you on the spot. So what about a player like Zion? If you a GM and he coming up on year 3 and he does Zion things, what do you think this new CBA changes how they approach that, or do you think that's a talent that's a clear top talent? We got to sign him no matter what.
I think if you're New Orleans, I think you would have to sign him, but similar to Joel Embiid, like, and I think even the Pelicans did it for Zion's contract. You add in a lot of stipulations, and you don't guarantee a lot of it, unless they hit certain things. Like, you add some protections in there, but like I think Zion is what, maybe 22, maybe not even 23 yet. So like, and then you've seen him when he's healthy. He putting up crazy numbers. So I think he's definitely at that talent where you're not gonna let him go. Like, you have to keep him. So, but they have to protect themselves. I don't see the new CBA changing that as far as keeping him and everything. He's too young, and it's just to give up this early.
Yeah, you mentioned you compared it to the NFL, and that's true because that's the big kick right now in the NFL is hitting on obviously you got hit on the quarterback, but you see teams trying to win when quarterbacks on a rookie deal before they got to give up most of the cap. But then that makes it even more important that you have like a Chiefs, they're running back in the 7th round, Pacheco. You got people who are hidden in the other rounds. I don't know if the NBA could do that, but it'll be interesting to see because I do think that's true. All right, but that leads into free agency because we already see some shakeups. So we'll start because I think this is one easy. Bradley Beal to the Suns, like you said. I know my opinion. Ain't no way 4 people. Wait, is it 4? No, it's 3. So technically it's Beal. I mean, if they got Aiden right now, but I don't think Aiden gonna be there. But even if it is Aiden, I don't think 3 or 4 people taking up 90% of the salary cap gonna be a winning team. What you think about Bill to the Suns?
So yeah, Bill to the Suns. I didn't like that trade. Like I get doing it if it was a better player, it was a different player. A player who would complement them more, like the Nets when they got Harden or something. I could see, making a move like that for Harden at that time. Or let's say if it had been 2 years earlier. Like, James Harden's at that level of player where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, now we'll just try to make this work. Or like when KD wanted to join the Warriors, it's like, okay, KD at that time, where he was at in the game, it's like we'll move whatever, to make it work to bring him in. Like, so this particular trade though, bringing in Bradley Beal, I didn't like that trade at all because I don't think it really fits that well. And then it's like kind of doubling down on the same issue that they had during the playoffs. Like, it's another pull up jump shooter. I think Bradley Beal, like, his ability to attack the rim has to be like right around Booker, probably less like than Devin Booker. So it's not like you got somebody who's going to relentlessly attack the rim or something. It's just another pull-up jump shooter. So you doubling down on the pull-up jump shooting. Bradley Beal isn't like some kind of crazy great defender or anything like that. I assume like average defender. And yeah, now you got no bench. So that was an issue. That was an issue in the playoffs, and it's like, so you just kind of double down on all the issues that you had in the playoffs. I get they're going to have like a full year. So I don't know, maybe with the chemistry, few of they signings, maybe they have a better bench, but I don't know. I just don't see it being that good of a trade. They cleaned out all they draft assets. So I don't think they got any draft assets. Not a 2nd round pick, nothing. So, and that's what a team. Oh, go ahead.
Do you think that's just the new owner being wild? Or do you think they really got a shot at something?
I mean, they got a shot. Like, so, they're going to be amongst the, top 2, 3 teams in the West. If they run into the Nuggets again, I think they'll lose. But you never know. You never know what happens. Injuries. Up-and-coming team playing really well might bounce the Nuggets. And then, if you something like that, kind of similar to like Milwaukee. So Milwaukee, they got bounced in the first. And so if a team does something similar to that in, like, say, the 2nd round to the Nuggets get bounced. Next thing, the path is kind of clear for Phoenix to be able to, get to the finals. And then from there, That how they shot at winning. So yeah, so they're gonna they're gonna be in there barring injuries, of course. So they'll have a shot, but I don't know. I don't think it's a good move. And in about what 3 maybe 3 years, 4 years or something, they probably gonna be bottoming out, and that's when Brooklyn is gonna be cashing in all the picks.
So real lastly on Phoenix with Aiden, would you trade him? I think everybody said the exact same thing. Get 3 role players for him. Is that what you doing, or you letting it roll?
Yeah, no, that's what I would have did. I would have traded them and got 3 role players. I think we seen that happen with Russell Westbrook when the Lakers traded him. They threw in a real future pick or whatever. Excuse me. They threw in like a real future pick, and I think they brought in like 3 role players or something. So DeAndre Ayton, you could have got yourself some real good assets for him. I think he was making like, or he is making like 30 some million. So that's like 3 tax level role players you can get. Like I would have did that to fill this roster out, but
You saying past tense? You don't think they can still do that?
they still could, but so far all the signals from the team, I think the coach GM is like, we're gonna stick with Aiden, and we're gonna try to make it work, with DeAndre Aiden.
You know what I would do? I
Yeah.
already told you, but I didn't say this specifically, but I think the Knicks is a ripe team because I don't think they're really gonna do nothing. But if they wanted to play around, I give you Aiden, swap him out for Mitchell Robinson, and then also give me like Grimes if I could pull that off.
Oh yeah, see that would have been a good move for them to do, because DeAndre Ayton, I mean, he gives you some scoring punch. He hit them like around free throw jumpers and stuff like that. But it's inconsistent. It ain't a huge scoring punch, and for the most part, now with Bradley Beal, what you thinking that between Bradley Beal, KD, Devin Booker, you hoping to get what 80 points at least from the three, maybe 85. Like that's a lot of scoring already, just for 3 players. So like you really don't need much from that fourth person. So so if DeAndre Ayton ends up being okay, I play defense, I'm rim protecting, I'm rebounding, I'm catching lobs. If that's all he's doing, then like you don't need a 30 plus million dollar dude doing all of that. Yeah, like yeah, you trade him for somebody, yeah, like Mitch Robinson and whatever other good role players you can get from there. And I'm pretty sure the Knicks they always looking for something, and so they'll probably be down to do something like that.
Yeah,
There's
that's
other teams.
that's just my off top of my head. But all right, so James Harden opts in with the 76er player option for 1 year, with the caveat he's gonna get traded. Where do you think he's going? Where should he go?
Where I think he's gonna end up is probably the Clippers. That's what all the indications seems to be. Where I think he should go, I don't know. That's a tough one because I don't know what like Daryl Morey is trying to get for him. And I mean, the smartest move for them would be to try to include him in a 3-way trade to get Dame. Like if you can, let's see, because they have to give up some picks. Or they don't got many. I think they got maybe 1 or 2. But so whatever remaining picks they got, James Harden, and let's say like what, Tobias Harris. Well, it depends. If you're getting rid of Maxey Harden and Tobias Harris, that'll be rough in exchange for Dame. But it might be, it may still be a net positive move if you end up keeping Maxey somehow and all of that. Then that might be the move, like to make you probably that'd be a pretty good upgrade from where you at right now. So that's probably the move that they'll want to do. See if they can somehow pull that off without getting rid of Maxey. So Clippers. He probably still didn't end up in the Clippers in that scenario because the Portland ain't gonna want James Harden. So
Oh, my bad. Okay, so you said in that situation they get Dame. Oh yeah, if I get Dame, I could lose Maxi, but I wouldn't want to if I didn't
Yeah.
have to. But yeah, I've been saying Dame with Philly for a minute. So I think
Mm.
Dame with Philly and Milwaukee is my favorite matchups, followed by Boston. But I know you want to go to Miami and all that. Matter of fact, shoot, we already talking about Dame. All right, so we get right into it. Number one, this is just philosophical. Do you think the Dame trying to win in Portland, are you like for that, against that, or are you indifferent about it? Do you feel like you just got to go with what the league doing, or you commend him for trying to stick it out?
I commend him for trying to stick it out. Like, them initial years that he spent there, like the first 8, I give him that. Like the first 8 that he spent there. After about 8 years, I was saying Dame needed to go. Well, they needed to trade him. He needed to axe out. But I felt like, yeah, he definitely stayed around too long. Portland is like dumb. They should have been tried to trade him. They should have been tried to trade him back when he was, let's see, about at least 3 years ago or so. So he would have been roughly 29, going on 30. He would have had way more value. Like, or if you at least traded him during the Rudy Gobert off season, like you would have got a huge haul for him, like at that time. So like they waited too long. So the package that they end up getting back is going to be a lot less than what they would have got 2, 3 years ago. Like they held on to him way too long, and I don't get it. Like right around the time they got rid of CJ McCollum, that's about when they should have just blew the whole thing up. Like,
Yeah, I thought they was. I thought when I really thought when Anthony Simons really was going off when Dame was hurt that they was gonna move off Dame, but they just didn't.
mm-hmm, yeah, and it didn't make any sense, and they really hurt themselves. Well, not too bad. They got lucky, like they kind of made a bit of their own luck by by taking Dame out towards the end so they can tank. Like, but if they already knew they was tanking, trying to get prove their draft position and stuff like that, like you already making tank and rebuild moves. It's like just let Dame go. Like at that point, I felt like the Blazers just being either stupid or selfish or both. It's like they didn't want to be the bad guys. They didn't want to be like the team that's trying to get rid of their franchise players. Like so they look like the bad guy, and they were being selfish, trying to rebuild and somehow keep Dame for the rebuild. And it's like just get rid of Dame. Like instead of forcing Dame to have to demand a trade out, and so now he looks like a hypocrite or whatever. It's like y'all could have saved them from all of that. Y'all could have done a solid, saved them from all of that, and just traded him. And then teams, of course, the Blazers fans would have got mad. Like some of them. I think most of them would have been cool with it. But some of them would have got mad. They would have been like, "Why'd you trade the face of the franchise?" and all of that. They take that heat, they take that smoke, and then Dame can still say like, "Oh yeah, I was loyal," but they traded me, kind of like
Yeah.
Russ. But yeah, they said they've been selfish and stupid.
So where do you think Dame ends up?
I think it's going to be the Heat. Uh, People, we know he doesn't have a no trade clause like Bradley Beal did, but we seen with Harden, we seen with like Anthony Davis and stuff like that. It's like players can force their way. They can't force their way to like kind of where they want to go. And so if like you're getting a disgruntled Dame, he ain't gonna really try. He might get out of shape like Harden did. He can threaten all any of those things, and like just that kind of risk right there will make a lot of teams back off. Like if he's like, I only want to play here. But Portland could try to play hardball and all of that stuff. But I don't know. Like, I think Portland owes them, Portland owes Dame, like, for the loyalty that he showed. Like, they should be like Sam Presti. Sam Presti got a good reputation amongst the players because Sam Presti always trades the player to the team that they want to go to, and so it ain't always about what's the best immediate short term move. Sometimes it's good to have build a reputation and have that kind of cachet with players and agents and stuff like that. So, and especially reward the dude who's the face of your franchise, who's stuck with your team way too long. So but I still they do due diligence, fill the offers, see what they get in. But ultimately, like, they should do him a solid, trade him to exactly where he want to go. And that's what I think will end up happening. Is going to end up in Miami.
Yeah, I think it was a weird situation. But I think he made it pretty clear he wants to go to Miami. Like I said, I think there's other fits that I would like to see him at, but that's probably what's gonna happen. It is what it is. So we'll wrap it up with this. Going off of that, with the new CBA, do you think we're still going to have the James Harden force their way out? I tell you where I want to go, you trade me there, because we know the no trade clause is not common, and we know Dame is a special case because he's been loyal to the soil. But going forward, when we talk about eliminating super teams, do you think the teams have any reason to listen to these star players when they try to kick and scream their way out of somewhere?
Let's see. I think so. In the context of the new CBA, I don't think the new CBA will change it too much. As far as that, because when you deal with the star players, they're gonna be, the max contracts are still the max contracts. They're gonna be eating up a real huge chunk of the salary or the cap space, and so that's kind of like it is what it is. So as far as that, I don't think it'll change like kind of how they deal with the superstar players and stuff like that, because ultimately players with however many years on their contract left, things like that, no one like, maybe there'll be maybe a couple, maybe 2-3 players in the future who may get a no trade clause, but so for the most part you're not dealing with no trade clauses, and so you're still going to be dealing with players with no trade clause. They got all these years and stuff like that, so their only weapon is to essentially phone it in, be a malcontent, do whatever they got to do to make the environment as poisonous as possible. And I don't think there's anything really in the CBA that can change that's reality, that scenario. So if you got a James Harden, I think maybe Anthony Davis was in that situation. Dame's currently in that situation. And if they're at that point where they got 2 years left, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, and they want out, and they want to go to a specific team, and it's like, if I don't go to a specific team, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. Yeah, I don't see CBA really changing that reality.
I think, for me personally, I just think it limits the options. Like, I'm blanking on the situation. I can't think, but there's certain situations where the rules and the money does limit the options, where it's like, I want to do X, Y, Z, and it's like, well, we can't even do it. Oh, was it? It was the Ben Simmons. That's what it was. I forgot that rule. What is that rule? It was something. What was that rule that was holding up the Ben Simmons trade? They couldn't trade for certain people.
Yeah, it was you can't have, I think it was like, you can't have 2 max deal. I think that's what it was.
I don't think it was something about the years or something. Anyway, that situation. It
I don't
it
know if it was two people from the same draft.
No, it wasn't that. It was something to do with some
Or it's like two
years
people.
but that situation is
It was
like
part of teams like couldn't get Ben Simmons because they couldn't have two players
who have some
like
type
on
of
the same kind of
exception.
deal.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
But like that,
Mm-hmm.
that was like, oh, Ben Simmons needs to go somewhere because they probably would have dumped him. But it's just like you couldn't do it because there's only certain teams. So I feel like the CBA is gonna add a little bit of that flavor. You're right. Nothing's gonna stop them from being a malcontent, but if you limit the options, now the players do their homework. I don't know if they do their homework. I should take it back. They team do their homework. So the agent and all that, they know what's up. So they can still be like, yo, trade me here. I know. Like same thing with Dame. Dame's not like trade me to the Suns because he's oblivious and don't know what's going on. He's saying trade me to the Heat. He knows that it could fit, it could work with the rules. So they're gonna do their homework, but it's gonna limit their options. They not just gonna be able to go wherever they want, and they not just gonna be able to go to a team with already two superstars or three, like KD going to the Warriors and that. Even though that wasn't what was that? I don't remember if that was
free agent. It was free agency.
I don't know if he was a sign and trade, but either way, still, it's just like I think it's gonna limit the options. But yeah, you're right. So all right, we'll stop it there. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in the NBA, but we're gonna roll it up there. Thank y'all for listening. Go down the comment section, let us know what you think, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it, get the conversation going, and thank you for listening.